welcome to Business Link. This is the networking podcast. This is where we're going to be talking about all kinds of tips, tricks, insights. We're going to be having conversations about business, business leadership, and all kinds of things. So we want to thank you for watching and tuning in. I've got my amazing business partner, Emily Galindo. Welcome, Emily. This is the first show, but we are co-hosting this thing. So this is just as yours as it is mine. So welcome to the show, the podcast, and let's have a conversation. What do you say?
Sounds good. I'm excited to start doing this. I think the community and people really like would love to know more about how to do this networking business. There's not a lot of us out there, but when you're in the community, it feels really big. So I'm hoping that we can really help make an impact on some people, just chatting it up about the things that we've been up to for the last 10 years, helping people build their network, which is their net worth.
Absolutely. So one of the things that I like to tell folks is that we network with experts, right? So the reason why I like to say that is because when we fill a room with experts, the conversations take a different place. The referral generating takes a different place. And typically those types of referrals end up making a great impact in all of our members' business. But I like to say that between you and I, we are also experts. And the reason why I say that is because you've got 10 years of networking experience. I'm coming up on 10 years of networking experience. So between the two of us, it's about almost 2 decades of networking experience that we have. And this is a podcast where I don't see many people talking about business and networking, what that looks like, what it should look like, what it's been, and what the future holds for business networking. So what do you say we dive into that a little bit and, see what happens along the way?
Sounds great. You had just mentioned something just now that I think is probably the key or the pinnacle to networking, and it's been coming up a lot in my own personal life and just where I'm at in growth. Right, is that the constant theme that you are the sum of the five people that you hang out with. Right. Back in my childhood, my dad called that you are who you hang out with. Right. It didn't sound cool back then, but now it's finally hitting me much later in life that it really is that important. And the kind of life that you want to live, whether that's business or personal or whatever, is completely dependent upon the people that you surround yourself with. And networking is the key. It can be a key to accessing those people, right? And the value that you get aside from just referrals. I think that's why we all start doing networking is the business aspect of it. But I think that if you can really see the people that you surround yourself with, right? Like that's how you and I became connected and be built our relationship and our business. And there's just so many different things that can add value to your life that goes way beyond business by really diving into networking and owning it. So I'm excited to help people figure that part out.
I'm happy that you mentioned that because I think you've heard me say this before, but if there's one thing that stayed with me that my mom used to tell me when I was a kid is tell me who your friends are and I'll tell you who you are. And so
Right.
that stuck with me for obviously all of these years. And the reason why I network with experts is because, as we all know, if we are the expert in a room and we are the only expert in the room, then we're probably in the wrong room, right?
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So if we're the smartest people in the room, we definitely need to look where to go to where we're not the smartest person in the room, where we can tap into other resources, other experts that can make us better. So what's been your experience when it comes to doing some traditional networking and then all of a sudden you go to another networking event and you realize that there is another level, there is a next level of networking? What's been your experience like?
I mean, honestly, there's been so many different levels, right? And I think mostly because of the history in networking, the chamber is typically like I think everybody's initial like go to. I remember when I first started, outside sales and digital marketing, that my boss would tell me to go to like ribbon cuttings and things like that. I had no idea how to do any of that, never been to anything like that. And those experiences, especially if you're an introvert, can be like incredibly overwhelming, right? And even me, who is an extrovert, a huge extrovert, I even find myself like hugging a wall because there's such an in, they're just so foreign if you're not a networker, if you're not like driven, hungry, right? Like walking up to random strangers and pulling out your business card, kind of like that's like I think entry level networking. And that's where I started as well. And then we have like other types of like business trade shows, and then I started going to all of those. And then I found structured networking, um, which can be incredibly demanding and in terms of time. And that still, though, I think as you go up those levels, each one of those experiences taught me a ton about how to present myself, how to be a professional, how to follow up, how to create a brand for myself. And then when you can finally find the right fit of intentional people, actually true experts, um, people who are aligned with what your goals are in life, and you find like that right fit, it was transformational for me, in terms of my personal and professional development. It was absolutely transformational. And it changed everything about my life and my business and my entire career, quite frankly. So I think that people kind of can get stuck at like level one, at the casual networking level, because they either don't know that there's other options, it's so uncomfortable, they can't break through that, um, or they aren't, I'm going to be super direct and just say they don't invest right in the next level. Like you get what you pay for, right? And so as you go up those levels, there becomes an investment, a, a financial investment associated with that. But you also get the relationships, the resources, and the referrals equivalent to that investment as you go up those levels.
I'm glad you touched that subject because I happen to think that as an introvert by nature, that's who I am. I'm not an extrovert at all. I had to, at the very beginning of my networking journey, I had to push myself to get out there and do things that I normally don't do. And then it turns out to where I actually got pretty good at it. But there is something that you mentioned about, how folks enter into a networking environment and it's very structured and there's all these metrics that are being measured, and it could be, for an introvert it could be somewhat intimidating seeing everybody working towards those metrics and whatnot, and then you as an introvert and or as a new networker, you don't know what's going on, you don't know how it works or what's happening. But one thing that I have noticed is that the next level of networking where there is experts in the room and there is structure, but not as much structure. And these experts are willing to be more open and helpful in making the environment a little bit more welcoming, if you would, to those introverts. And I think that's huge because there's a lot of folks out there that are not necessarily wanting to go network because they are introverts. They don't want to do it, but they're in a sales position and they know they have to do it. But how do they get in? So the way that they get in my opinion, is by finding a networking group that, yeah, they take care of some metrics and whatnot. They measure a few things, but it's not all about that. It's about making sure that every single individual in the room feels the exact same way, whether it's the new person, the introvert, or the experienced networker. And I think that's something that is still somewhat missing out there. And I think we're paving the way in making sure that everyone from A to Z, new networker and experienced networker, they feel welcome at every single event. At least that's been my experience. You tell me what you think.
I think that one of the things that we're paving the way in is the middle ground of extreme accountability and structure, and just recognizing that people are adults and professionals and should be treated as such, and that they can, once you start recognizing that people are human beings and that they like have needs, and it may not be like a transaction, it may not be a piece of business, and that they just want a space where they can feel supported. And I think that in our groups that we have, our experts have figured out over the course of their career that the more people that you help, the more people that want to help you, right? And so I think the experts in our room are super good and very open and very giving in that regard to sit with anybody, talk to them about anything that's going on in their business or their life and figuring out how can I help you, because we all know at this point, right? Like it may not be today that I'm going to get that referral from you. It may not be that like tomorrow, but someday you're going to think of me because I took that time to sit down with you, and us creating that space where we're doing it because we know that it's the right thing to do. We know that it's going to help us in the long run, not because somebody told us to, or because I hold some sort of role, or because that's, the volunteer position I have to sit in or whatever, you know what I mean? So for me, that I think makes the intentionality of what we always talk about very different. And I think the new member and all full member experience is completely different because we're all there for the same reason.
Yeah. So one of the other, pivoting a little bit is one of the other things is when members know they need to, business professionals, business owners that become members of networking groups, they want to continue to network and expand their brand, expand their network, and be a part of multiple groups. Why is it important for our members and any business owner, business professional be a part of multiple networking groups?
Well, for one, because it's good business. I would say that. I mean, when I first started networking, I was at like 6 or 7 networking events a week, right? And that ranged from the chamber to BNI to free networking groups to Eventbrite stuff. Like it didn't really matter. I think that's because at Foundation, I mean, as an actual marketing expert, right? The foundation of marketing is more eyeballs, more impressions, right? Equals more opportunities. It's just sales and marketing 101. And so I think that it's completely natural for people to want to do that and need to do that. For instance, a great example in some industry exclusive networking groups, right? Like they are good for creating stronger connections, stronger contact connections, right? Now I would love for anybody to talk to the mortgage person or the title person and ask the mortgage person if they're gonna if only having one relationship with one real estate agent is going to make a difference in their business, right? Like that's completely
Right.
dependent upon how many transactions that real estate agent is making, and that's still not going to be enough to feed them for the rest of the year. That mortgage person depends on multiple real estate agents across all types of agencies, right? And when it comes to be able to serve them. And so for me as the mortgage person, it's 100% behooves you to want to be in multiple networking groups, meeting multiple agents and brokers and things like that to be able to help fulfill your own business. And then, I mean, so that number one is because you got to be able to find the right people that are going to make a difference in your business. And that may be in multiple, that you may only be able to find them in multiple groups.
Right.
And the other reason is I mean, that's just the number one reason
Yeah.
because it's good for
So
your business.
yeah, it's good for business. You also have, I've interviewed a few, let's say in the real estate realm. I've interviewed title services, realtors, as well as mortgage professionals, investors, and whatnot. And there's there's a few that feel like, why would I become a member of a networking group where they're going to limit me where and how much I can network, or be just depending on that one referral partner in that networking group, when I can go to multiple networking groups, visit, and then the actual relationships begin once you start connecting with those folks that you just met outside of the networking event, right? So I've had several of those to where they're like, I'm not necessarily understanding why I need to join or pay to join when I can build relationships by visiting multiple groups without having a limitation as to how many or where I can go and network. So with that being said, that is, I believe, one of the reasons why we believe wholeheartedly in collaborating versus looking at it in a way of competition situation, where we believe that business professionals, business owners should go and network as much as possible and join as many networking events, networking groups, because as you mentioned, they're basically impressions, just like SEO. The more you show up, the more, your visibility, your brand awareness is going to be out there. So I think it's crucial that we encourage our members to go and network as much as possible, to expand their network and meet as many people as possible. As a matter of fact, we take networking education to the next level by providing them with tips and tricks and insights on what to do within a networking event to ensure that they can extract a net new appointment for the following week. It's not just about showing up and saying, hey, I did it, check the box, and leave there completely empty-handed, right? So these are educations that I think networking education that I think it's missing out there. And I'm glad that we are putting this content together to showcase to our members, hey, there is a formula to networking. It's not just about going on a weekly basis or every 2 weeks or once a month, whatever it may be. It's not just about showing up and checking a box. It's about being intentional. So I feel like that is crucial for business and for any member of any networking group, that members are allowed to go and network as much as possible wherever they want to go network, right? I mean, it is your option to go and network as much as possible.
Absolutely is. I think one of let's do a myth buster, if you will, because I think that one of the big issues that people might see or hear or come up against, right, is that if I'm in, so NIA, right, we are an industry exclusive networking group. That means there's only one person per profession in every single one of our groups. The foundational purpose for that is to create exclusivity for you and your industry. That's all. It does not mean that because you're in this group that somebody else has to, like, that you now have to use that person because that's the person who's representing that industry, right? Let's say financial advisor. Just because that's the financial advisor we selected for the group because we think that they've got great connections and they're a professional. You again are an adult and a professional, and you have to make the best choice for you and your family and your business in who you do business with. And so by being in the group, what we've done is created, you're the only financial advisor in this group, and we are facilitating an opportunity for you guys to make a deep and meaningful relationship by being in our group. That does not mean you have to use that person. If it's not a good fit, it's not a good fit. And being in any group does not entitle you to anybody's business. What it does is it entitles you to the opportunity to have the ability to earn someone's business. And you earn it by creating deep, meaningful relationships, by being a person of integrity, by showing up and helping support other people. And if you're doing those things and you create that relationship, the likelihood that they will use you for their clients and their friends and their referrals goes up substantially. But not every person, right? So we'll go back to the mortgage person, right? They're networking with lots and lots of real estate agents to help their own business. If they have a potential referral, they're not just going to give it to the person in the room because that's what they have to do. They're going to give it to the person who has earned the right to that business, who they believe is going to be a good fit for their customer or their client or their friend. And that's how business gets earned. It's not because I'm being forced to use you because you're in my group. And that's the differentiator, I think, here, that we give you the opportunity to actually build those types of relationships in the meeting and not outside of the meeting, right? Like, it's not on you to build that relationship. We're helping facilitate it in those 90 minutes that we're all together. And then of course it grows outside of the meeting, but that's how you earn people's referrals.
Yeah, absolutely. And so because we believe that our members should have the ability to network as much as possible, we actually create other networking opportunities for them outside of our NIA monthly meetings, right? So we have, coffee connections or business and breakfast or something like that, where people can, from all walks of life, can walk in with no pressure whatsoever, no agenda. It's just about having a little coffee, a little breakfast, and networking, open networking throughout the entire event, because that is how you can be a little bit more intentional when there's not so much structure. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Like, we just like our casual breakfasts are typically at our real estate agent's brokerage office,
Mhm.
right? And so that's a great way for the PNC and the mortgage person and but all the others are home service vendors and all of them, to be able to go in and have an opportunity to meet multiple real estate agents, right? And then everybody else who's there trying to court real estate agents can come, and the real estate agent is the star of the show because they put it all together. Like, that's us bringing value to our members and trying to help in any way we can, whether like you said, in the casual non, like anybody can come. We try to bring all of our groups together, expose it to the community so that there's lots of people there to be able to just interact with our amazing members. And I think that that's where we continually bring value to our members and help them get the exposure that they're looking for with those networking opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've had an amazing conversation, different topics, different insights, tips and tricks. I think we're going to continue to have amazing conversations, additional tips and tricks that we can provide folks. And, more importantly, Emily, I think we're coming to a close of this segment here, because I think we've already created enough content for our viewers and our members. But any final thoughts for this segment as to why are we doing this? Why are you and I doing this?
Why am I doing this? I have a deep and passionate desire to want to help people be the best version of themselves. And I know that I have still on the journey of becoming the best version of myself. And I know that I did that because of the people that I've constantly surrounded myself with. Like, and I met them, and I've created those relationships because of networking. And so I know from firsthand experience how transformational networking can be, and the amount of amazing people it can bring into your life. And I really wish more people had that kind of community and connectivity, and how much easier life is and more supportive life is. And so I really want that for everybody. And that's why I am always trying to connect people with other people.
That's right. So I'll give you my 2 cents very briefly as to why I'm doing this. Um, I love the city, and I love everyone in this city, right? So helping others build their business or generate more revenue. I mean, it's just does great for business. Does great for the city, right? So Houston is what, the fourth largest city in the US, and it's quickly growing to be the third largest city in the US. The reality is that the more we help business professionals, the more we help business owners, the economy grows, everybody does great. And at the end of the day, everyone is doing amazing things via the work that we're doing and helping them grow their business. What are those amazing things? I don't know, putting a roof over the family's head, putting food on the table, going on vacations, doing the things that they love to do. And I think that's the reason why I personally enjoy doing this, because I love helping people. I love to see them do good things, and I love our city to grow and thrive. So that's my 2 cents as to why we're doing this. And I think it's a great opportunity to continue to grow the city and our networking groups and all of those great things. So we're going to wrap it up for this episode of Business Link. We want to thank everyone for watching. Stay tuned for additional episodes. We'll bring some more insights, tips, and tricks about networking, business, and all of those great things. Emily, any last thoughts?
No, I'm really excited about this. Like I said, I think it's something that people just don't know how to do, and or do how to do it well, right? And so this can be another resource for them to help make an impact. And so excited to continue to have the conversations.